over the years, I'm convinced personally and pastorally in my experiences that you will not be successful as a disciple of Jesus without the fear of the Lord intertwined into your being, without having a reverence for God. If you take out that puzzle piece and just throw it to the side, you don't have the full picture. Just like my kids in the ocean just rushing in, they don't have the full picture of what the ocean is and how to relate to it. And because here's why. Here's what I think the fear of the Lord does in us, is it produces this beautiful resilience, this resistance to sin. It's this gracious safeguard in our lives that God has placed there. And it's an engine that propels us towards holiness, the call that all of us are called to do, to be like Jesus, to be holy and set apart. The fear of the Lord gets us there. It actually guards us from misstepping if we're tempted. Like, think about this. If your only driver for not cheating on your spouse is you don't want to hurt them and that you love them so much, then what happens when those things get a bit shaken up? What happens when your marriage is a bit stale and it's been like that for months? You're not intimate, you're not connecting, you're kind of talking through each other. You're not connecting, and then you go on that work trip, the classic work trip, where you go and that that work friend is starting to give you attention, it's starting to lean into you, and it feels good, it feels familiar, something you used to have with your wife, and you like that feeling. What safeguards do you have in place? If your only defense is a wife that won't find out and a God who's only loving and merciful, then what do you have? What about if you're in a business and you have the opportunity in your role to shift some accounts around and make maybe a bit of a side hustle for yourself? But the only motivator to prevent you from doing that is that you want to be loyal to the company, you feel like you have a high ceiling in the company, the boss sees you in the right way. What happens when the boss hires someone above you and you get cut out of certain meetings? Like the drivers for not doing sin, not committing to certain compromises are gone without the fear of the Lord in place. For some of you, in varying levels, there's some of you that struggle with pornography. Some of you are dabbling in it. Some of you have a full-blown addiction to it. And it's complicated, of course. There's multi-layers to this. God is faithful to you, absolutely. He's forgiving on the other side of the mistake, absolutely. And some of you just need to hear that. But there's some of you, not all, there's some of you who've been around the circuit forever. You've been in the accountability groups, you've done the programs, you show up to the friends, you say, I screwed up again, and then you're back at it, and you screw up again, and you're in this vicious cycle, and you feel like you have no momentum, no movement forward in your faith. And for some of you, what you need to hear, and what the problem is perhaps you're just not taking God seriously enough.